welcome to the next episode of Girls Are Players Too. I'm the mom,
And I'm the daughter.
Brittany. We have hit episode number 10.
Woo, 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 woo.
Okay, when we started this a few weeks ago, I think we both were just kind of trying to figure out what topics we would come up with or what we were going to talk about, but we actually been holding it down 10 episodes in.
10, 10, 10, 10.
So it's Monday. So I think what we want to start doing is kind of doing like a weekend wrap up. So like hot topics or hot takes that came up from the weekend, since it's Monday. And we'll probably try to do this every Monday, just what the weekend wrap up looks like. So first, Josh Allen got married.
Yay, Josh. Yay, Josh.
So he married actress Haley Steinfeld. They got married. I believe it was on Saturday, maybe
Mhm.
Friday. But she's just a beautiful actress. Josh Allen, the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. I think they are such a cute couple,
They
and
are.
shout out to them.
Yeah, because when I saw her in Sinners and then we mentioned it on the episode, I didn't put the two together until you said that. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that. Like, they,
Yeah.
they are very cute. Very
Yeah,
cute.
so shout out to Josh and his new wife Haley. Another hot topic that popped up was Zion Williamson has been accused of rape.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because he's been in the news a little a little bit more recently. This is the most current one, but women have come out, whether they're pregnant or just Zion has been in the news more than he's been on the court, it seems like,
Well,
lately.
well, these allegations that came up, she's alleging rape, emotional, physical, financial abuse, and it's from a woman who I guess he was dating or with since 2018.
Hmm.
So back from his days at Duke, because he only played at Duke for 1 year. But it's interesting because it's a civil case. And, obviously, when allegations of rape or sexual abuse become come to the forefront, for me, because again, you gotta, if somebody is alleging that something happened, obviously you it's the victim. She, number one, is going by Jane Doe, but number two, why is this not criminal?
Right. Yeah, and it just makes it harder, when you bring up that point about not going criminal. It makes it harder for women who are sexually assaulted or abused or raped to come forward, um, because when you talk about civil, that's money, cha-ching. Like you see dollar signs, and these men putting their hands on women and just doing things that they shouldn't do. It's like they shouldn't get away with that. Like, however, money, whatever, but you still have to live, and this person is just out still living their life. So it's I understand that there's money there, but um, to do these crimes or to even say this person did rape and mental abuse and finance and all of that, it's like they have to be held to some consequence.
Yeah, because I mean, remember a couple years ago, Deshaun Watson from the
Hmm.
Cleveland Browns was accused of just some craziness with his masseuses, his massage therapist. And when the allegations initially came out, it was one, and it was two, then it was up to 10, and then it jumped to 23. And it was more or less, you're hearing about the testimony from these women of things that he did or things that they they alleged that he forced them to do or whatnot, and they settled. And then he signed this massive contract with the Cleveland Browns. So it's like, did he become a target? Was he a target because he's an athlete? Or and again, he settled, so we have to assume that there was some negligence that took place. But in the case of Zion, and in the case of other athletes where women come out to speak against
Mhm.
domestic violence or battery or sexual assault or rape, these are criminal actions. These are
Absolutely.
things that people are actually serving time for. So why are these athletes not held accountable criminally? Now, it could be that it's harder to prove because they didn't go right away to have a rape kit done or whatnot, but you still have to go through
Right.
testimony in a
Mhm.
civil case to prove that something actually did happen in order for a judge to um, make someone accountable financially for the actions of the um, defendant.
Right.
So it's just, but it's like, Zion, what's going on? Come on.
I'm telling you, more time in the news and the media than on the court. These women coming out left and right, um, and is if you are a professional athlete, PSA, here we go. Do 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 knock knock. Hi. Do your sport, and then whatever you do behind closed doors, keep it behind closed doors because now you are seen as all these other things outside of your profession.
But
So,
sometimes you wonder if they have to find other ways to be relevant because Zion didn't have the best season. He did actually make it through the season,
you did.
because they talk about his weight and everything. So apparently he dropped weight. So he stayed true to whatever weight limits that they wanted him to be. But now this, and so it's like, and there's always trade rumors on the block. He
Mhm.
represented the Pelicans at the draft, so the New Orleans Pelicans, they still have him in high regard. I mean, if you're representing your team at the draft, that's a big deal
Yeah.
because usually it's the GM or a coach or whatnot. So again, to the female who put these allegations out, obviously there's more to come about this case. But Dwight Howard was another one who had allegations against him of abuse and whatnot, and so it's just, obviously, as high profile athletes, they're going to be targets because of their actions. And again, if you've done something wrong, you should be held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I just I'm very sympathetic to the women who have these allegations against men and their counterpart, the defendant, is not famous.
Yeah.
So what do they do? What is
Yep.
their recourse? How do they get justice for actions that were done against them
Absolutely.
that are
Mhm.
criminal? So,
Yeah.
Yeah, stay tuned for that one because
yes,
I'm interested to know what all comes of that.
yes.
But shifting gears a little bit. Well, actually no, staying in the same sport. We have an NBA finals
Oh,
ready to go. The Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers.
who knew to start the season that the Indiana Pacers would represent the Eastern Conference for the finals? Now, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year against Boston, and Boston beat them. But it was like, they kind of had some fluky things happening.
Hmm.
But we watched them absolutely.
Run
They
through the
took
East.
they took care of the Bucks, but injuries was our issue. They took care of
The Cavs.
the Cavs, and injuries played a factor in that one too. They absolutely destroyed the Knicks. I mean,
Yeah.
it just, and the Knicks won 2 games, so let's give them credit. But the way that the Pacers they were very meticulous and very team oriented in how they won.
Hmm.
Uh, but it's just funny because every game that you play, I don't know that people realize that people are voting for who's the best player for whatever, because obviously if the Knicks won, they would say Jalen Brunson would have been
Right.
MVP.
That's a sure shot.
Yes. But the Pacers won, so there has to be an MVP from the team. And it was funny because I think Tyrese Halliburton thought it was going to be him, but it was not.
Yeah, he started doing one of those, they were pointing at him like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And he started walking up, and Ernie Johnson is like, Pascal Siakam. I think everybody in the world was like, wait, what? Well, not everybody. But I know I for sure was, because in my mind it was just like a duh. But then as time has gone on or days have passed, I'm like, maybe the league is, when they voted most overrated player, they tired of him.
Well, the most overrated was actually voted by the players. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. Now, the MVP is voted on, so there's 9 votes, and Pascal Siakam got 5, Tyrese Halliburton got 4. So it wasn't like
Oh, so it could have gone either
he
way.
shouldn't have thought that he could win. And Pascal Siakam, he's just one of those silent assassins.
Yep,
Like he
absolutely.
was very steady in this series. And the games that they lost were games where he maybe didn't perform as well. But overall, if he was not as consistent as he had been in this series, they would
Mm-hmm.
not have prevailed. So
Mm-hmm.
I was one that when Tyrese kind of stepped up, I was like, "Boy, sit down!" Like Pascal was balling, and on both ends, because
Yeah.
he has to play against Carl Anthony Towns, and he's going against a Mitchell Robinson trying to attack the basket, but just the way that he was carving up the Knicks,
Mm-hmm.
and I like Pascal.
I do
It's
too.
something about
I do
him,
too.
but another player from the European player who is earning his keep, and he's a champion. I mean,
Yeah, you
the
got a
Toronto
championship.
Raptors won in 2019. And so he's earned his keep in the league, but it was just funny. But of course, Tyrese Halliburton's dad came up in the news again. Now, he was banned from the games after his interaction with Giannis Antetokounmpo during that series, because he got on the floor and was taunting him with this tile of his son. This is what we do. And I heard words were exchanged, and him and Giannis was head to head. And Giannis at one point didn't know who he was initially. But the league was like, no, enough. This dude needs to be
Get
banned.
him out.
Now, I felt after a while he should be. I mean, who knew the Pacers was going to continue to advance? But, he is a parent. I feel like initially I felt like he probably understood his actions. And so my take was, let him come back, but put him in a suite. And that's what they
That's
did.
what they did.
Now, what happened after the game on Saturday?
Well, after the game, you know, things like this come up of him basically he took the MVP trophy out of Pascal Siakam's hands and shouted, "This is for my son."
Come
And
on.
then was immediately restrained.
No way. So it's like, come on, daddy. Like, for real. I mean, and again, you can have your proud parental moments, but when you become the news, or when you make the news because of your actions, it's like, are you trying to live through your son? Like, you have a very talented son, and I think I lost my light and oh, there we go. Okay, did you lose me?
No, he's still
So,
there.
I mean, when you have a talented kid, you want to be a part of that, but you shouldn't be the narrative. And
Hmm.
it was just crazy how that whole thing shook out. But shout out to Indiana Pacers.
Cause
I'm just,
they carry in the East. That's where our team is. So we gotta. I mean, we don't have to root for them. Like,
well, I'm not rooting for
I'm
them.
rooting
I
for
am
the
all
Thunder.
in OKC. Yeah.
However, they got through the East, and so that's where our Bucks are, and They did what they needed to do, but yeah, Thunder all the way. Going for the Thunder. And it's interesting about the Thunder, them being in the finals again. The last time they made the finals was back in 2012 against the Miami Heat, with the Kevin Durant's, James Harden's, and Russell Westbrook's. So this finals looks very interesting because there is one player that played on both teams. Give me your take on what what you think about this one, in regards to one player playing on the same team, playing on this both of these teams. I'm trying to make sure I get my stuff up here.
I'm trying to figure out what player. Who are you talking about?
Okay, just think about that.
Oh, Paul George. Okay. Yeah, I got something to say about this because
Okay.
what's funny is Paul George played with the Indiana Pacers, and at that time, remember he had that gruesome
That
injury.
leg break.
Yes, that was just horrible, and you never just thought that he would be able to come back from that. But as things happen, players have a little more control now than they used to. He
Hmm.
wanted a trade, demanded a trade. So he was traded from the Pacers to OKC. And at the time of that trade, Domantas Sabonis was traded to the Pacers, and and so that was kind of a big deal at the time. He then goes to OKC, and at OKC, he did his thing, put up some
Hmm.
good numbers. I
Hmm.
think he actually emerged as an all-star from OKC as well. I remember him playing, did they play the Portland Trailblazers? And that's when Dame hit the shot and
Yep.
we got the
Yep.
Dame time
Put
from
them
him.
out.
So it's a big deal. OKC certainly did their thing. Well, Domantas Sabonis ended up getting traded from the Pacers to the Kings, and Tyrese Halliburton was playing for the Kings.
Yep. Yep.
That's how Tyrese ended up with Indiana. Okay, now OKC, things went sour for Paul George in the quiet hours in a crazy July a few years ago. He asked for a trade. Kawhi Leonard ended up at the Clippers, and then all of a sudden, Paul George was with the Clippers. The Clippers gave up Shea
Okay.
Gilgeous Alexander.
Yep.
And fast forward to 2025, Tyrese Halliburton and Shea Gilgeous Alexander are now
Are
playing
in the
against
finals.
each other in the finals,
Yes.
and Paul George is doing a podcast.
He will probably be, yes, podcasting about the two teams he played on. Because I don't recall him retiring. Well, maybe he did. I don't recall seeing that. But
No, he hasn't retired.
yeah,
He
I
went
didn't
to
think so.
he left the Clippers. Now, to continue the narrative, he left the Clippers and went to Philadelphia. So last summer, that was the big hype. The Philadelphia 76ers traded for Paul George.
Hmm.
And immediately they became the big three: Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Paul George. And at the end of the season, they
There
were a
was no
lottery
big
team.
three.
Like it didn't work out. So it's like, is Paul George, like, is there something about him that's creating future teams? Like, if he leaves the 76ers, will they get to the finals a few years later? It's like, the Clippers actually made the playoffs without Paul George this
Yep.
year.
Yep.
Kawhi Leonard was a lot healthier, but it's just funny how there's so many parallels to that one player,
Yes.
and these two teams are now facing off.
Yeah. So shout out to Paul George because you created these two teams that are now in the finals. Yeah, so we can give you credit for something. Yeah, you've done your job.
Right.
But
And keep podcasting because I
yeah,
want
keep
to hear what
podcasting.
he has to say about this because people are talking about it. So I want to hear his take. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like I said, the parallels are great, great fodder. the playoffs start or the finals start on Thursday.
Thursday.
They
Hmm.
moved to ABC, and it's interesting because these are technically small market teams.
Yeah.
So you don't have the
Yes.
LAs, you don't have the New Yorks, you don't have the Golden State Warriors with their dynasty. And so, like, do you think the ratings are going to be hyped? Like, are people hyped for this matchup?
I've seen mixed reviews. Like people are like, man, the Pacers. Now with the Thunder, you might be able to get some ratings because of just the season they've had. Young team, fun to watch. Um, so it you like I said, you might just get a mixed crowd of people watching. I mean, it's the finals, so I feel like people may just tune in because it is the finals. Like it's the end of basketball, and you know how the world of sports are. Like once basketball ends, people are like, yes, other sports. So you know it's and for us, it's like, no, basketball's over. We gotta wait. So I will be tuning in because again, I'm rooting for the Thunder, but I think I think it will be a fun matchup. Just both teams are young for the most part. They like to run and go, and they got shooters. They got Shea, who's like a magician with the ball. You got Halliburton, who's a wizard with the ball, like an assist and all things. And so it's like on paper, it seems like they match up well for this final. So it's just interesting to see how to play out.
Well, we talk about the end of the NBA, but the W is streaking along, and the Commissioner's Cup started for the WNBA. Now, the WNBA started this in-season tournament before the NBA did,
Mm-hmm.
and it was real quiet. People didn't really understand the format or whatever. But the Commissioner's Cup is a tournament with during the season because again, the formula for the NBA, they want to give players more incentive to play hard during the season. Now,
Yeah.
the W certainly doesn't have as many games as the NBA, but you want to make sure that teams are working hard and working towards something so that when postseason comes, it's like, okay, well, the regular season records, they are kind of what they are, but
Mm-hmm.
with only um, you know, teams that in the W they only have I think it's seven teams on the West and six on the East. So it's 13 teams right now. So it's like, how do you gain leverage? But the Minnesota Lynx are 7-0.
7-0,
The New York
undefeated.
Liberty are 7-0.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, we now need to shift in terms of we moving from the NBA to the W. Well, W's been playing, but these ladies need to continue to stay hyped, be excited because the W is still making noise.
Yes.
Yes, Caitlin Clark is injured, so and obviously with Indiana being in the playoffs, Indiana is still hyped as a
Yep.
state, and they're still getting their fanfare. But the W, I mean, these women are garnering like they have their own profiles, they have their own their LinkedIn's or not LinkedIn, but Instagrams and Facebooks and whatever. And I mean, some of these athletes are like have huge followings, huge followings. Oh, so we talk about following. So Angel Reese is the most followed WNBA player. Now, a lot of that is negative. A lot
Right.
of it could be people just trolling her. But 4.9 million viewers, or what you call the
Followers.
people that follow
Followers.
you, followers,
Followers.
they follow. I'm still trying to work on this social media lingo. So followers, 4.9, followed by Caitlin Clark at 3.2 million. Now, somebody can say, "Oh, those numbers aren't true," but this is coming from the W.
Yep.
So it's like what's up with that?
Yeah, these are their pages, and I'm going to. Whew, this may sound really bad. So there are 10 women on this list. I follow one,
Who do you follow?
Skylar Diggins.
Okay, Skylar. All right, shout out to the Seattle Storm. Okay.
um, yeah, and it that just speaks to like as a female athlete, I should be more invested in what's happening on the side of the W, you know. And I follow all of these women. I just don't follow them like on social media. I know what's going on with Asia and the A1 and Haley Van Lith. She was on Sports Illustrated, the swimsuit cover, so I'm following them. But it's really good to see this picture because now that the NBA is ending and it's like, oh, well, now we got the W, and ratings and viewing may drop for that because they're not happening at the same time anymore. But these women are finding ways to stay relevant. They're doing whatever they need to. I mean, with shoes, with different endorsements. I mean, shoot, the rookies who we got Paige Buchers on here as a rookie who is finding a way to outside of the league get her name out there.
So she's third on this list. It looks like Haley is sixth, seventh on the list,
Yeah,
and these are rookies.
yeah,
So last year, the rookies, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark. But when you're a rookie in the W, your salary is still like, right. I mean, again, let me not, poo poo salaries, because they still make
they
eighty
make some money. Yeah,
thousand. Some of them over 100,000, which is great money for a young person to be making.
absolutely.
But when you think about the revenue that's generated with professional sports, in the big scheme of things, it's kind of like, huh?
Hmm.
So a lot of these rookies coming from NIL, where they're making millions, because both Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese were making millions.
Yeah,
Now you see Paige Beckers, Haley Van Lith moving into the W from their college days. Paige at UConn, Haley Van Lith at TCU. But endorsements matter. Oh, yes. Okay, so this was a hot take that came up over the weekend, and I love this picture. And for people that's looking, they're like, "Well, who
what
are
is
they?
it?
What right?" Because they like, I don't know who these people are, but because these are athletes and these are ladies, these are rookies, and they are representing Coach. Yes,
My
Coach.
favorite.
That's my favorite.
My
I,
favorite.
I think when I bought you your first Coach bag, I'm like, shoot, I want one too. I mean, and that all the purses I carry happen to be Coach. That's it.
Yeah,
Sorry. And I
yeah.
have all shapes, sizes, styles, crossbodies, big tote bags, whatever. But when I saw this, I was like, okay, these ladies have arrived. So, to paint the picture of who they are, I'm not sure which direction people are looking, but you got Sonia Citron,
Yep.
who played for the Notre Dame. She played for Notre Dame. You got Kiki Irifin, who played for USC. You have Amnesia Morrow, who played for LSU. And then you have Haley Van Lith and from TCU, and Paige Beckers. And I'm like, okay, Coach is stepping up because
Yes.
they finally have decided, you know what, we need to start having endorsements showing famous athletes or celebrities. But for them to bring this to the rookies, I was like,
I
I
love
mean,
it. I love it.
I'm right,
It,
yeah.
it is it's so fire to see them collaborate together. Like bringing the women of the W into Coach. I mean, because for a while, you didn't really hear from Coach. Like we're keeping Coach in business, but to have women as not just models, athletes, like as the face of Coach right now. And like you said, as rookies, so it's not like they're seasoned or it's like, oh, let's. No, these are women that just came into the league, but they are building their brand. They're building their brand as women in the W. And who wouldn't buy a purse? I mean, I went on the website to look like, oh, this purse is cute. Oh, I like that one. Like, I'm looking at different purses just based on this image and the purses that they're displaying right here.
And
So
I
it,
mean, let's face it, that's why businesses have endorsements.
yeah,
State Farm took it to a whole nother level with Chris Paul, with Aaron Rodgers, with this discount double check, and now you got Jake, and so now Caitlin Clark is
Yeah.
on, and I mean
Juju Watkins
Patrick
is in there.
Mahomes, Juju Watkins. So to see the W actually have athletes that are focused on getting their extra paper, because that's what this is, and to bring a brand like Coach to the forefront. A shout out.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it.
Come on, just because it's like, oh, these
And
women were like me.
when
So,
was the last time you bought a Coach purse? So it might
um,
be time. It might be time, right?
yeah. And it's different. Like I will say, this last piece, this is different than the ones that I do have. You
Okay.
know, it gives like a classic, but it stands out because we like the C's all around. But that C, that emblem on the front, I want one. I want
Right.
one. You got
Right.
one out of me.
Well, June is here, so shout out to the month of June. As we closed out the month of May, that was Mental Health Awareness Month. There were other high profile things to shout out. Mother's Day was in May, but we moved to June. Father's Day is in June, so obviously we'll probably have some segment or some topic about dads as we get closer to Father's Day. June is also Children's Awareness Month. It's also the month of Pride. And I just found out that National Donut Day is June 6th. So that's this Thursday. So, I know Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme, they probably going to have all kinds of stuff. But if you like donuts, June 6th is National Donut Day.
And I want to add one. Because officially, June 21st is the start of summer. So,
Yay! Shout out to Summer Solstice!
because I know here in Wisconsin, we are tired of this back and forth,
Yes.
cold, hot mix
Yes.
of whatever. So, yes, welcome to June, everyone. Hopefully, there are lots of things happening in June. Festivals start. Well, they've already started, but yeah, it's just time to be outside and enjoy all the things that are coming in this month. So I don't want to say shout out to June because that happens
No, it
all
is a
the
shout out
time,
to the
but
month
shout
of
out to
June because
June.
we made it. We made it. We
Yeah,
made
we
it through
here.
the
We
winter.
made it.
We making it through the spring, and we are here in the month of June. There'll be more things that we talk about as the month progresses, but I am just super excited that we get to bring in June together. So as we wrap up this edition of Girls Are Players Too, we just continue to appreciate the viewership that we're getting. Continue to like us, continue to share, continue to follow, and forward our episodes. We are having a great time just talking about things that you probably want to talk about as well.
Yeah.
So as we close, I just want to say again, Britt, thank you for giving us this platform to have this banter. And hey, we closing out Girls Are Players Too. I'm the mom.
And I'm the daughter. Have a good day.